Green Valley tax rate. Dr. Gooch?
Yep, thank you. So I'm going to present this year's proposed tax rates and the 2023 numbers. So I'll go through a quick slide deck for you. So the assessment amounts for the Green Valley School District this year, the residential amount was $420,675,410. The agricultural value was $2,476,821. The commercial property was valued at $56,686,252, with the personal property of $87,607,254, which brings Green Valley's total assessed valuation this year to $567,445,737. In comparison between this year and last year's assessed valuation was $459,728,481. This year's assessed value is $567,445,737 again, like we said on the previous slide. So that shows a difference this year of an increase of $107,717,256. So there's your difference between the 2022 and the 2023, which then we transfer that in to determine what this year's proposed operating levy is. When we look at last year's numbers, last year's operating levy that the board approved was 3.2271. So as you can see, that was the proposed rate. For this year, the operating levy would be decreased down to 2.7882. So that's our proposed rate for this year, with a difference of 43.89 cents, or as you can see here, it's 0.4389. So there's the proposed difference between last year and this year. A few other numbers to compare. Last year's debt service levy was set at $1.70. I'm proposing the same number for this year at 2020, or for 2023 at $1.70. So there's zero difference between last year and this year. And then the total levy for last year was 4.9271. With no difference in debt service levy, then the difference between operating carries over. So the proposed rate for this year is 4.4882, with the same difference of 43.89 cents, or 0.4389. A little bit of the breakdown. So the proposed rate this year in the incidental fund, what we call Fund 1, it would be 1.7882. The teachers fund, we would put in the 1 like we usually do, $1. The debt service levy, again, the proposed rate is again to stay at 1.7 or $1.70, so that's the same. And then 0 in the capital projects, again, bringing the total to 4.4882. A few other numbers that are important for us. There is the new construction amount in Green Valley this year. Right now we sit at $7,045,596. The new revenue from new construction and improvements, so the new revenue that the district gets because of the new construction is $196,445. Moving on to another new number, new revenue from this year's reassessment is a value of $789,179. So basically, the bottom line is, again, last year's tax rate was 4.9271. This year's proposed rate is 4.4882. Again, with the difference between 22 and 23 is 43.89 cents, or a difference of 0.4389 less than last year's tax rate. Questions?
As this is a public hearing, if there are any questions from the audience, you can point them at Dr. Gooch. I'd be happy to answer. Any questions from the board? Okay. So that brings our hearing to a close. Thank you, Dr. Gooch.
Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Dr. Allen, if you'd lead us. Oh. No, we proved that. We proved that later. If you'd lead us in the pledge. you. Brings us to the agendas. I would ask for a motion to approve the regular agenda and the consent agenda. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. And Lance abstains. Okay. Brings us to patron comments. April, did you get that? Thanks. Any school district patron may present information to the board at this time. Presentations will be limited to no more than 5 minutes. The board will not take any action on any issue not included on the published agenda. However, all comments will be taken into consideration by the board. Patrons are requested not to discuss individual faculty, staff, or students. Patrons are reminded that this is a public forum and comments relative to individuals could result in litigation. However, any patron may request to meet with the board in executive session. No response will be given at this time. And we have one. Steve?
So I used to be quite frequent over at the other place, so I just thought maybe it was a good night to do it. But
Well, thank you for breaking it in for us.
a couple things. I know you're voting on the levy tonight, and the whole thing's a debacle. It's I don't know how you're going to ever make an educated decision on this. The numbers that are presented, I don't know how they're accurate when only half of the appeals have been done. I got mine appeals done last week, and I don't know how you got accurate numbers to work with, but good luck, and I'm sure you'll do the best you can do. I did have one other thing that I wanted to bring up. It's my understanding that our district and all the other districts sent a representative to the county legislature when they were discussing the adoption of, or the possible adoption of Senate Bill 190, which was going to give senior citizens tax credits for would basically freeze their tax valuations, their assessed valuations. And I guess it's my understanding that we sent a representative to that, as well as most of the other districts, and opposed that they adopt that. And I'm really disappointed with that standing by our school district. We've been supporters of this district for 35 years and been here a long time, and love the school district. We have great facilities. We have a great school. But I think that for the whoever went on our behalf to represent our school, to say that their seniors didn't deserve any kind of a break, no more money than we were talking about, when we're spending $25 million on a new gym, and we spent however much, millions on this new building here, it seems a little arrogant to me to say that senior citizens that are on a fixed income don't deserve some kind of a tax break, and with the circumstances that are going on with the valuations and the inflation that we're all experiencing. The senior citizens of our community have always supported the schools. All the bonds always pass, and I did a little homework with the election board, and it seems that about 20% of the registered voters in Grain Valley are in the 65 and older age group. But at the last election in April, about a third of the total votes for that election were cast by people 65 and older. So they are very, very, they get out and vote. So I feel like that we are doing a disservice by trying to say that they shouldn't get some kind of a break. I think we should have at the very most taken a neutral stance on this. So many of the seniors struggle. We have we have a senior living complex, and many of them struggle with their bills. They're on fixed incomes, and anything would help in this situation. And I'm just disappointed that we made that decision to go speak out against giving seniors relief on their property tax assessment values. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. So that takes us to reports. Do you want to go ahead and do that one or follow this order? You want to stay in this order?
Yeah.
Superintendent's report?
Yeah, I have some highlights to share this month. On September 13th, the high school implemented their Signs of Suicide program. It's a program that we do with all of our middle school and high school students each year. The program has been used by thousands of schools, including Grain Valley High School, for the past 13 years, has a proven track record of encouraging students concerned about either themselves or a friend to seek help. And it's also a school-based prevention program that has shown a reduction in suicide attempts in randomized controlled studies. So the high school program is done. One of the middle schools is also completed, and the other middle school will be done in the next week or so. So it's a program we've had in place for a long time, and we're really pleased to empower those kiddos. Also wanted to let the board know that we are completing our K-8 fall benchmark assessments consistent with our CSIP priority on literacy, and it's to help students prepare for academic and behavior MTSS groups. Something new that we're proposing that we want to try with the board this fall is we kind of want to get a little bit more formal with having some structured and set times for 1 to 3 board members at a time to visit 2 to 3 schools at a time for a couple of hours. So just wanted to kind of get your reaction to that, but we can start to get those on the calendar and get you into our schools. The teachers love having you visiting the schools, and some of you do that and initiate that, but we just thought maybe we could formalize it a little bit and make it easier for more board members to maybe participate. I also wanted to highlight that we were recently named the best place to work with 20 or more employees in Grain Valley by the Best of Grain Valley program for Grain Valley News. So we're really pleased to be honored with that. There's also a calendar of events there at the bottom. We have a regional MSBA meeting coming up on October 4th, and we also have the annual conference for MSBA November 2nd through the 4th, and I know we have at least a couple of you registered for that already. We would take any questions on that or other aspects of that superintendent report, and then I also want to talk about the financial summary attachment that you have, but I wanted to see if there were any questions about the full admin report first.
Dr. Welly, do we have any numbers of how many students participated in the Signs of Suicide or were seen? I know that typically we get those numbers. I didn't know if those had been released yet.
Yeah, once they get all the schools done, we can include that as part of our admin report, probably as soon as next month.
And then my other question is, with the MSBA annual conference and many people attending that and having a board workshop on the 2nd as well, is that going to be beneficial? Like, I don't know how many people are going. I'm just asking if they're going to be in 2 places at once.
So I think, yeah, so we are scheduled to have a workshop on November 2nd. So that would be a decision by the board if we wanted to cancel or move that workshop, or if people who are attending the conference on November 2nd, if they felt like they could get back in town. It's in Kansas City, so would they get back for a board meeting that evening? So that's really up to the board.
Who's going so far? For that board meeting? Okay. We'll think about it when we bring that up and put it on the notes for the workshop, October workshop.
Very good.
And then you wanted to talk about the financial attachment?
Yeah, so we're trying to find, we're always kind of evolving how we highlight the good news and the information for you. And so we wanted to give you more of a ongoing financial report of revenues and expenditures. So the numbers on this initial report, these only reflect our first budget month of July. So we're just using it as an example. Wanted to give you a chance to kind of absorb that and see if this is the kind of thing that you might like to see on a monthly basis, or at least on a more regular basis. Kind of tracks how our revenues are coming in compared to the past 2 years, and likewise how expenditures are going compared to the last 2 years. And just didn't know if the visuals and the breakdown of how it's organized, if this is maybe a more helpful way for you to kind of track the financial status of the district along the way. In addition to all the detailed, cash journals that you review and P-card reports and all the other things that you review, if this kind of gives you more of a bigger picture of how we're doing financially. But we would take any questions you have on any aspect of the report, and then certainly any feedback you have on the process itself.
I personally like to see this just as a snapshot of where we're at that moment. It's a lot easier to see these numbers than the gazillion numbers in the other reports.
Yeah.
So I personally like this visual.
I appreciate the visual. It's helpful, and
You don't
especially
like
with
reading
giving
the
us
check
prior.
register?
Yeah, yeah.
We can.
Yeah, it makes it simplifies it, I think.
We'll keep it going, and for the more months that we progress, the bar graphs become more meaningful. When you only have 1 month's worth of data, there's some outliers here that kind of like, well, I hope the whole school year doesn't go that way. So we'll bring you, next month, we'll bring you multiple months to date, and also next month, we will have prepped a budget amendment to reflect the tax levy rate that you set and other operational expenses and realities. So October will be a better reflection of where we're really standing at the time.
Aaron, what does this take for you to prepare? Is it difficult to put together time-wise for you?
No, it isn't too bad at all. I was kind of the one pushing it, so no, it's good.
Okay. Good. Questions, comments?
Also included in our superintendent's report is a construction update. I don't really have anything more to say about that. It is exciting to see the walls go up around the gymnasium and the weight room out there at the high school, but wanted to keep those updates in front of the board, and we'd take any questions you have on the progress there.
I do have a question that if on our progress report, if we could include timeline of some sort?
Like what to expect next?
Well, we have what to expect next, like what's upcoming next, but like, are we on time? Are we not on time?
Gotcha.
Like, when are certain things? Because, going to any event at the high school is so difficult and hard.
Yes.
But just knowing like, oh, by this time, this barricade might be removed, or we're making progress. So to have any sort of timeline helps ease and show progress as well.
Sure, easy addition to that, because we have,
Yeah.
the timelines, it's already laid out and it's monitored
Right.
day by day. So whenever I get this update from Newkirk Novak, I could just ask them to include, where they are at that day when this is
Right.
published, and it's a simple addition because they track it. I see. I go back, and when I meet with them in their trailer, it's truly a day-by-day thing. So that would be a very easy add.
Yeah, I think, because obviously there's a timeline to the project. So
Yep.
if we could add that in,
Absolutely.
thanks.
So to that, Nick, where are we at right now? Because they've had really good weather this
Right.
year to work on
We
this.
are doing, I don't even want to say it, but we're doing really well. Things are working really, really well. I
Are they-
know that there's, do I dare to say that they're just slightly ahead? So yes, at the time, the weather has been perfect for us recently, and we're gonna continue to be happy and not talk too much about being a little ahead of time, but yes, we're right there.
Because you know what happens when you talk about health coverage like that.
Exactly.
Correct.
So I know when we set them up for being our CM for this project, they had offered some other options as far as helping with social media and different things as far as pushing it out. Or have we taken advantage of any of that to get it out in social media as far as any of their updates?
Not yet. Very easy thing for me to initiate their individual for that. I know it is an option. We just haven't done it yet. But if we feel like right now is a good time to start doing that, I think, especially now that we're starting to see walls and schools in session, I think that's a good thing to bring them, so I can get their team incorporated with Ms. Shackles, and we can can move forward on stuff like that too.
Yeah, and hopefully between now and October, they should make, again, some pretty decent progress. It might even be another good time for them to come maybe in front of us and give us an update. We can just kind of see where they're at.
Sure.
Just something to think about.
Any other questions or comments?
Completion is next fall, early winter?
Next August.
Next August?
Mhm.
Are there liquidated damages on this job if it's not done in time
There,
on the contract?
I do not believe so, and I believe that was excluded out. We did put it back in.
Because they were going to put it in the contract to their subcontractors, so we said that's fine. If you're going to penalize your contractors, then we're going to have to say.
Okay, I do remember that, so,
Okay,
yes.
so they are, okay.
Now,
So-
thanks for the nudge there, Mr. Porter.
So it'll be done?
It'll be
on
done.
time. Perfect.
Or we'll get money back.
We'll get money back.
It'll be done. I'm confident.
They don't expect any of the parking to be available, any of that they've blocked off before football season is over, do they?
So I've asked that question as well, and unfortunately, no. So until, really, we wouldn't be able to gain anything until after the deck and everything is done on the ceiling because of the height of cranes, and then even potentially for rooftop units, there has to be fall radius. And so because of that, they are required to fence off certain parts, and honestly, it is a lot. That, which is part of the reason why we went ahead and put the new parking on the front end of the project, so we could, what we took away in the fencing, we added back by adding the new. So right now, we're not really we're not down very many spaces. It's a nightmare of flow. But unfortunately, no. Just due to fall radius and safety regulations and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
We all want it to go away.
The Finance Committee and Finance Planning?
Yeah, we share the minutes of the Finance Committee and Facility Planning Committee. They had their first meeting on August 29th. They had that as a joint meeting. And we just thought that these are the board's committees, and we thought that including their draft minutes in our administrative report to the board would be a more timely way to keep the board in the loop on the activities of these committees. So the next time these committees meet, they will approve their minutes, and then the minutes will become official, but we just thought there's probably no reason to wait to get the drafts in front of you so that you can be tracking. And then as the other committees, part of your engagement process, as they meet, the minutes from those meetings can be brought back into our reports at the next meeting as well. Just keeping the board in the loop on their activities.
So I had a question. I understand that some of the committees have started work. Julie and I are on the curriculum committee, and I think that they've started some work, but we haven't heard anything.
So the curriculum committee is going to meet in October, and if you haven't been getting your updates and invite, we'll make sure that we get you on the list.
Yeah, I don't think that we've gotten anything.
So we need to make sure our board reps are also on that email list, because I got an update from the committee just today. So sorry about that.
It's all right. That's why I asked. Because I think they've done some work. They've pulled some lessons to look at and done some different work, but we haven't.
Well,
We haven't seen anything yet.
they've scheduled a time to meet, and they've talked about what to expect that night. So that's the information we need to get you. And we'll go back through our whole list and make sure we haven't left anybody else off of there either, because I know they have people RSVPing for it.
Okay,
But I just got my email this morning.
I have not, so
Okay.
thank you for checking.
Yeah,
that.
I'm glad you said something.
That'd be great. That takes us to the MSBA report. For those that haven't been around when we did this before, MSBA is kind of our guiding entity, and they help with policy and a lot of the legal questions that we have. We always, years ago, we'd show the MSBA report because they come out with a monthly board report as well. And then they talk about issues going on around the state, similar to what Steve brought up earlier with legislation and that kind of thing. At one point, we decided that we'd rather just watch it on our own, but with new board members, it's been suggested that we bring it back and let you folks and us hear it all at the same time. For those at home, you'll hear the audio, but you won't be able to see the video. So just keep that in mind. But with that, Nick?
Welcome to the September edition of the Missouri School Board Association's Board Report. We begin with a look at the release of this year's state assessment data. The preliminary results released by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education show overall statewide scores are mixed when compared to the prior year. ELA showed small improvements in elementary grades and in high school, and small declines or flattening in middle school. Mathematics scores showed increases in most grades and courses. Science scores maintained with the exception of an increase in biology. Regarding the results, Commissioner of Education Margie Van Dieven said the data emphasizes the need to continue deploying state and local resources to best support and promote student learning.
If we're going to embrace literacy, let's do it all the way, right? And this, we know what we need to do there. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on early learning. Let's keep focusing on great teachers in every classroom, growing our principals to support those teachers, making sure we have superintendents who are hiring good principals to support the teachers, training our local school board members. These are things that I think we have all agreed are primary to making sure we move the needle.
With schools across the state back in session, don't forget to share the excitement of students, staff, and the entire public school community with your local legislators. Invite your legislators to celebrate the return to school with a day touring your school district. MSBA President Ruth Johnson says that activities such as legislator visits are just part of year-round advocacy efforts.
I truly believe that advocacy begins with relationships. That is something that I began my first year of being on my local board, and it's vitally important that you reach out and get connected with your elected officials at your city level, your county level, your state level, and federal level even. Beginning those relationships before you need to have those hard discussions is what's crucial.
In addition to building relationships with legislators, building relationships and networking with peers is a great way for school board members to learn various approaches to common challenges. With that in mind, MSBA's fall regional meetings are back. Fall meetings return in each of MSBA's 17 regions this September and October. These events give local board members the opportunity to learn and network with colleagues from their part of the state. Sign up for your region's meetings and come ready to play. MSBA's leadership development team has created an engaging and educational challenge where members will team up and work together to answer school board scenarios. To find the date and location of your region's meeting, visit the MSBA website. And it's not too late to register for the 2023 MSBA Annual Conference in cooperation with the Missouri Association of School Administrators and the Missouri Association of School Business Officials. The conference will be held November 2nd through the 4th in Kansas City. The event will once again feature numerous breakout sessions and workshops, many presented by school leaders from districts throughout the state, along with a great lineup of general session speakers. The conference will also feature the Education Expo, the Student Showcase, and much more. Visit the MSBA website for more information. That's it for this month. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in October for the next MSBA Board Report. As we wrap up, here are some closing thoughts specifically for board members from MSBA President Ruth Johnson as we start a new school year.
I would just say to other local board members, enjoy what you do. This is a journey that will change you, and you will see public education in a completely different way. You will see that students are truly what matters most. And everything that we do as a board member should revolve around, is what we're doing, is what we're deciding, making it better for students to learn every day.
Welcome to the September edition of the Missouri School.
Thanks, Dr. Gooch. Any comments on the board report? Takes us to unfinished business. CCIP priorities.
Yeah, we bring our annual priorities back for action tonight. There are no changes since our discussion at the September workshop. The priorities this year emphasize improving early literacy skills, assessing the needs of our facilities throughout the district, implementing character education to address student behavior in each of our schools, developing a revised safety and security plan for our schools and our district, and to provide competitive pay for all employees.
Any comments or questions before we open it up? So I'd ask for a motion to approve the 2023-2024 CSIP annual priorities as presented. We'll do a roll call for this. Jared? Yes. Sarah? Yes. Jeff? Yes. I'm a yes. Jason? Yes. Julie? Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. That passes. Thank you. Takes us to the next unfinished business, naming the stadium press box at the high school.
Yeah, so 2023 marks the 100th season of Grain Valley High School football, and so we bring forward this naming recognition for the most successful head football coach in our first 100 years. The recognition would be made during a home football game yet this season, and any plaque or other signage that the administration at the high school does that would come later. So we would recommend that we name the press box out at the stadium the Forrest Ravello Press Box in honor of Coach Forrest Ravello.
Any comments? Questions? Again, I would ask for a motion to name the press box at Moody Murray Field the Forrest Ravello Press Box as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign? Okay. Congratulations, Coach. Takes us to new business, setting the levy.
Yeah, we would recommend to the board to set the 2023 tax levy rate at 4.4882, which is down 43.89 cents from the 2022 tax levy rate.
Are there any questions or comments?
Do we know what percentage of the property assessments are under appeal now and how that could potentially change? Meaning if it's going down from last year, then I would assume next year it would go back up substantially.
I mean, we'll have to wait and determine, see what happens with the county and, the number of assessments or appeals that they do. But as far as a percentage,
I mean, is it
I know the
100 million of it, 70 million?
It's 70 million. I know the value of it, yeah, of what's still, well, whenever I got the most recent numbers, which was on the 11th of September, that day when I got the most recent numbers from the county, it also included all the municipalities and how much value was still out in appeal, and Grain Valley had $70 million. So what that will eventually do to the ultimate tax rate, we all don't know that, but we are still responsible to set it with what we were given, which is the numbers that you see presented tonight. And then if there is any change, then we would go back and do a change of that, which we would recoup that or do that next year. So it could impact next year's tax rate.
Yeah, once this rate is set, it is set.
Mm-hmm. So whether the assessed value goes up or down for next year, we would make that change then in addition to the following number, the new numbers for the next school year. I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna have to seek some guidance for that because I've never seen this before. So,
But you're talking about Dr. Gooch, specifically the process to recoup.
correct.
Yeah.
So, just to clarity, to get a little bit of clarity, because of all the appeals that are still out, $70 million, the likelihood is that nothing's going to go up. It's only going to come down from that number as far as what our assessment value is now. It should only come down more than likely. And when we set our rate today, more than likely the amount of revenue we're going to collect is not going to be that number because the assessed value is going to come down. And in order to recoup that next year, we'll have to take the tax rate back up to recoup whatever we didn't collect this year.
The state has a process to recoup. We've never had to use it, but that is a known process.
Jeff, just so I understand you, are you saying most of those appeals probably will go down, we just don't know what percentage, and then in order to recoup that money? the
I'm not
levy-
gonna say most will go down,
Or-
but
or
but the
some,
likelihood
yeah.
that the number will go down is high.
And so then the levy's obviously got to go up to recoup the money.
That's the only way to recoup the money is
Exactly.
the
I just
levy
wanted to
would
make
have to go
sure,
back
yeah.
up.
That would be accurate.
If they ever get it figured out. I don't know that there's much hope for that over the next few months anyway.
And that could potentially delay some other improvements that could be coming down the pipeline.
Depends
Not
on which,
well,
depends on which improvements you're talking about.
I'll save that for another conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's most definitely a mess. We've said that meeting after meeting, it's a mess. And there's no good way to go about setting this at this meeting,
Other than what we have
other than what we have in front of us.
to look at, yeah.
Which is what we have to use.
And it's got to be set by October 1.
Correct.
So in the next week, it's not going to change enough to matter.
And they will not give out new assessed valuations to the municipalities, because if us to change that rate and all that, it would have to be published and things like that. So there's not time to do that. So this is
This
the
is
rate.
the latest update.
Yeah, this is what we're going to get until there would be anything done for next year.
I know you probably don't have it in front of you, but I'm just trying to do some comparatives between last year and this year as far as where numbers were. Any idea why or what caused the new revenue from new construction improvements to drop so drastically?
So there were certain things that came onto our books last year that we didn't get this year. I believe one of them was the Amazon plant or the distribution center that Amazon had. That was not, that came onto our books at a pretty high value. And then some of the other commercial property that lines along I-70 were on the books last year as new construction. And there is not as much value in all of that as there was compared to last year. So last year, the new construction value was around 20 million, and this year was 7. So it was a substantial difference between this year and last year. Really, a lot of what this year's new construction is. Again, there's definitely some commercial, but it's pretty heavy residential.
The Amazon facility is included in our
It is. So that is actually in the Green Valley School Districts.
district,
Yeah.
but Blue Springs City.
Correct.
Gotcha.
There's a few other businesses on the north side of I-70 that are in the same situation, that are actually Blue Springs address, however, reside within the Green Valley School District's boundaries, yes.
Kohl's, PepsiCo, and all of those.
Correct.
Anything else? So I'd ask for a motion to set the 2023 tax levy rate at $4.4882 as presented. Jared? Yes. Sarah? Yes. Jeff?
Yes.
Lance?
Yes.
Julie? And I'm a yes. Takes us to next, adding 2 full-time employees, full-time paras.
Yes, we have a need for 2 additional paraprofessional roles to provide support to students with special needs, primarily for students who are new to the school district.
Are our paras full now?
No, we still have a few openings, but as we hopefully get closer to filling those positions, then we would also work to fill these positions. So we are using, for the unfilled para positions, we fill those with subs as often as we can.
So I'd ask for a motion to approve 2 new paraprofessional full-time employees. Jared? Oh, Jeff, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
question, real quick. And just from a budget standpoint, I mean, there's no negative impact to our budget. We're covered, no issues with adding the two.
It's going to cost us, but in our update that we do, our budget amendment in October, will reflect these two new FTEs. But yes, it is it's a negative, but we really, when we have students with these kinds of needs, that's just the cost of doing the business, so we have to figure that out.
Technically, it'll only cost us if you can fill the positions,
That's true too.
unfortunately.
Yep. We would start working, yeah, we
Right.
would start servicing with a sub. Yeah.
So I had a motion and a second. Jared? Yes. Sarah? Yes. Jeff?
Yes.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Julie? Jason? Okay. Number 3, video broadcasting in the school board workshops. We've talked about this before, and there was some differing of opinion on where we ended up with that. So Dr. Well, you want to talk about that just a bit?
Yes, the board had previously taken action to authorize the administration to record and live broadcast our monthly business meetings, your monthly business meetings. And so, yes, there was more than one school board member who has since expressed that they felt like at the time we were approving that included workshops. So, so we thought it was best to bring it back on the agenda for discussion. We bring it back as an action item, so if it pleases the board to also authorize the administration to provide live broadcasts of our workshops, then you can do that and set the record straight.
Any discussion or comments?
I do. I just had, when I saw this come back up, I went back and in the 629 agenda, it specifically stated that we unanimously voted recommended action motion to authorize the administration to live broadcast monthly business meetings. I asked the board for authorize the live broadcast of just the monthly business meetings. These meetings are when most votes are taken. My suggestion is to start and only evaluate the response and reaction. We have had one live board meeting. Has any of the process of response and reaction been done? Or is this just simply something that the board misunderstood what was actually produced to the community and the school board as what we were approving that night?
Dr. Taylor, are you recommending?
I'm just asking a question. Since I don't know the full back end of it, I'm just trying to figure out, this was what was recommended in the agenda, presented to the community, presented to the school board. 90 people have viewed that, and based on what we approved, has there been any, or is this just simply a miscommunication that we need to revote on from the board?
I think the bottom line in talking with Dr. Welly is because there were more than one that were unsure or of a different perception of what we talked about, we wanted to bring it back, make it formal, so there was no, and have the discussion, so there's nobody that is confused or has a different idea next time.
My other question would be, how many other school districts in our area live broadcast their workshops?
I know Blue Springs does. I don't know how many others. I don't know about Lee Summit. So my reasoning for wanting or asking to bring it back up is that I feel it's the most important part of what the community can see is what's happening in the workshops. If anybody tunes in tonight, all they see us do is vote yes or no on an action item, and they have no idea the backstory as to how we got there if they weren't able to be at the workshop in person. And just from a transparency standpoint, I still feel that having the live broadcast and the video up of the workshop to see how we get to the meat of the decision is very important, just for the backstory.
So I felt like it was pretty clear what we were voting on at the time. I'm not necessarily opposed to extending it, or at least authorizing the administration to extend it, to use the same language that we did on the other component. So I don't know that we're re-voting on the business meeting component. What we're doing here is voting on authorizing the administration to broadcast the workshops, right? I mean, is that, okay.
Anything else?
How many workshops have we had that has not had action items on them? I'm saying if, like, what would differentiate the board meeting from the workshop if we're taking action at both meetings, or I guess a meeting and a workshop?
Right. The workshop usually is a deeper dive into one or more big topics for more in-depth discussion. You're not prohibited as a board from taking action on a workshop, but typically the rhythm is we have the big topics at a workshop, talk it out, gives the administration kind of the board's flavor or reaction, and then we can finalize proposals to bring back to you at your business meetings. And that's more likely where you take action on an initiative.
I would argue that's what it should be. Dr. Welly, I don't know that I feel like that's what it is. I think that often it's just a second business meeting, or at least it feels like that for us. I hope we can get there. That would be my hope, but I don't think that that's what we're currently utilizing workshops for.
I would support the live streaming of workshops. I think with what Jeff was saying, it's kind of there are a lot of discussions, and I think how we arrive to a conclusion, maybe the public would want to see, maybe not, but they would at least have that option to, you know, whether they would want to tune in or not. So I think it's important. I think our district's doing a great job of transparency in the committees and getting information out to the community, and I feel this would be another beneficial avenue. So
I think for me, at least having one meeting of the two for the month. While the public can come here, not broadcasting, we don't have to be, I know how this is going to come out. We don't have to be as censored. We can have more of an animated or excited discussion. And we don't, I feel like because we're being videoed, sometimes maybe we hold back because we don't want to look bad to everybody that's logging in. So I think that the workshops give us that opportunity. But again, that's my opinion too.
Yeah, I think our workshops definitely seem to mirror a meeting. I would say an example, I think, as us moving towards workshop being more workshop focused, I think like when we talked about last time with the tax levy, there was a lot of discussion.
Yep.
And the board was able to, and Dr. Willie was able to get a temperature on that as to how we all felt with that recommendation. And then it came back with something that reflected the board's response from that workshop item last month. So I think that is a reflection of maybe the goal of us getting to workshop versus meeting. I don't have any problem putting our workshops live streamed as well. That is not what we approved in our last thing. We approved meetings. So I understand this being a different and separate piece, but I knew that we were approving meetings and not workshops, but I can understand how they feel pretty similar.
Anything else? So I would, the way the motion is written, motion to authorize administration to live broadcast board workshops.
second.
Sure. Motion, I'm asking for a motion to authorize the administration to live broadcast the board workshops.
Second.
Jared?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
I'm a no. Jason? Yes. Julie?
Yes.
Okay. That takes us to board policies.
First up is policy GCPB, resignation of professional staff members. This is our third read, I believe, on this policy. We've kind of tweaked a few things each of the last couple of times we've brought it up. So on the feedback we had the last time the board met was to basically put in some language about that it's on the employee to appeal to the board. And so the way that paragraph would now read is that the board may waive the compensation requirement. The employee may request in writing to have the fee waived. And both of those fall in the same paragraph. Or no other changes.
Any discussion? So we'd ask for a motion to approve policy GCPB as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same side? Okay. Number 2.
So this is the Series 2023B policies. No further changes have been made to these. They all came at us from the same legislation in 2022. We've had quite a bit. We talked about these quite a bit at the workshop. There were no further recommended changes, so we would ask the board to take action on them tonight.
Are there any questions or comments on any of those? So I'd ask for a motion to approve policies IGAB, IGC, IKE, IL-1, and IND as presented.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Takes us to the end of the agenda. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session.
I move we meet in executive session to discuss 610.022, subsection 1, 3, and 13.
So moved. Or second, sorry.
Jared?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Yes. Jason?
Yes.
Okay, we're in executive session. Thanks, everybody.